Awesome, welcome to the photography studio. We're going to first learn how to operate the lights. So first step for the lights, we'll go grab the gaff. This is your gaff. This is what you'll use to move the lights. It stays here. You do not leave this anywhere else, just to be orderly and not trip over it. With each of these softbox lights, they will be attached to this cord on the wall. You want to make sure you take this cord off so that we can move the lights. And lowering the lights, what you want to do is hook on to one of these little wires up here. And you use that to slowly pull down the light. Now, if you want to move the lights around, ideally, you'll have the lights raised up. And obviously you can see all the tracks up here. What you want to do is lock onto one of these eyes and slowly move the lights. Other tracks might be in the way, so you can use, if they don't have an eye on them, you can use this little black brace and slide these out of the way. Or if you have to, hook it here and slide it out of the way, slowly. So then you can grab onto the eye and move the light you're using. A few things you want to look out for is especially this or this softbox over by the computer. If you're lowering it and you have to use the computer, you want to make sure you don't hit it. Something else you want to watch out for is the cord length. You want to make sure that if you're pulling the lights out, that you don't pull the cords too much. You'll see they begin to get tight right up here. So this can only go so far. Okay, so now on to operating the light. First, we want to take off the lens cap carefully. You never want to touch the bulb with your fingers. What will happen is you'll get oil from your fingers on and the bulbs can explode. And we do not want the bulbs to explode. So first things first, we'll turn the light on. So you'll see the light is on with the prop light. The prop light you'll use to position your model and check on the lights. You can either use that and turn the prop light off so that it only flashes when you're taking your photos. Or you can turn down to the max light, which acts as a prop light, but just brighter. Next on the light is changing the power settings, which is this dial up here. You can change it to your own taste depending on the photos you're taking. But one thing to be sure is every time you change this, especially if you're going down in power, you want to hit your test. That discharges the light, and if you're going down in power, you won't take your photo on a previous power setting. So next is adjusting the light. How you'll adjust the angle is by using this arm here, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So you'll loosen it, adjust the angle carefully, slowly, and then tighten it. Next is using an attachment on your light. So what you'll do is you'll make sure that it's unlatched, and you'll carefully try not to touch the bulb, slide it onto the light, and generally you want to have it at about number 5 or 6, which is labeled on the side here. And then don't forget to latch it on to keep it tight. So when you're ready to use the backdrop, what you'll do is first take off the carabiner and don't lose it. You want to stand parallel right underneath the chain, and you will slowly pull to drop down the backdrop. You'll see it skips, so that's why you want to go slowly. One thing you don't want to do with the backdrop is stand over here and pull it, because you may pull it off the tracks. As well, this is made out of plastic, so you don't want to pull too hard, you can unsnap it and everything gets messed up. And after the backdrop is pulled down, you want to reattach the carabiner to secure it in place. Now on for using our pocket wizard, which consists of this piece and this piece here. We'll start by attaching this to the camera. We'll slide that on the hot shoe with the buttons facing you. and then we'll tighten that on. So for the settings on the Pocket Wizard, we leave them where they are. It should be remote for the transmit mode and channel 1 for the channel because they're already set up to all the lights in the studio. And we'll hit test, and that fires off our light. So now we'll grab our light meter, and we'll see that the shutter speed is set to 125 and the ISO is set to 100. So we'll make sure that our settings are there, which they are. And as for the aperture, we will change that in just a moment. So now we are using our pocket meter, and we'll have Ben as our model. So we want to make sure we place our pocket meter with this portion of it facing our light, right where we want to have our stuff well exposed. So now we get a new reading of 11.1, and we go back to our camera, and we change our aperture setting to 11. Because we do not have 11.1, but if we're rounding to the closest number, we have 11. And let's take our picture. And it gives us a well-exposed picture of Ben specifically, because that's where we placed our pocket meter. So now once we've finished with our lights, what we want to do is turn them off. We will hit our discharge button, the test button on the back of the lights, to relieve all the energy out of the lights. We'll use the gaff to latch onto this cable and slowly push the light back up. Again, watching out for any hazards. Now we want to move the light back to where we want to tie it off at. So we'll grab the eye and slide it back slowly. And we grab our rope and make sure it's tied off over here in the corner. Do a simple figure 8 to tie it off. And then latch it down here on the loop. And if we're putting away one of the lights that do not have the soft boxes, we want to make sure that the bulb is not hot and be sure not to touch it. And once it's cooled down, then we can put the cap back on and use our gaff to lift it up by the wire. Or what you can do is use the notch here to slide the gaff in securely and push it back up slowly. And we'll pull this out of the way. For sliding the lights on the bars individually, you could latch on right underneath the black space and go slowly. Now we're putting this one back to the corner it belongs in, outside of the middle of the room. And you'll note it's the right corner because it's where our cord is. Now for putting away the backdrop, we just take off the carabiner that we secured and then slowly pull it up, making sure you're right underneath the chain. Once it's up there, we just reattach the carabiner and the backdrop is put away.